Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai Brakatham. Shalom Israel. My name is Yaquatazah Tazadak. Welcome to our YouTube channel, Stick to the Script. So today we are doing a new addition to the Lawgiver series, and the topic today is Feast of Dedication. So let's get right into it. So now, Feast of Dedication is an 8-day feast sanctified to the Most High after the children of Israel fought and conquered the Greeks during their rulership over Israel. Okay, so now the history of this feast day is founded in the Apocrypha, which is the Apocrypha right here. This book has 14 books within here. This is the Apocrypha right here, the authorized King James Version, right? So Apocrypha is a Greek word meaning to hide away. You see that? So we're going to find out later on in this video why exactly they took the Apocrypha out of the Bible. So let's get right into it. So we have First Maccabees chapter 1 verse 1 through 3. Let's get it. So and it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Shittim, has smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece. Now, this was approximately around 333 BC, right? And made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth. So this man, he made many wars against all different nations. You see what I'm saying? So he wasn't afraid to go against anybody, right? So now Alexander, in this modern age today, we may know him as Alexander the Great. I know they teach this in school, you know, Alexander the Great. That's actually relevant in the scriptures. You know, verse 3, and went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up. So this man, I'm telling you, this guy right here, he was going out there and fighting against different people, conquering them, and this brother heart was lifted up. He has so much pride within him. You see that? So we're going to find out what happened. Let's jump down to verse 6. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. Now Antiochus, right? Not Antiochus. Alexander, right before he died, he appointed servants to take charge over different areas that was owned by Alexander the Great. You see what I'm saying? So he selected Ptolemy, which ruled from Ethiopia to Egypt, which took charge of that. Cassander, which ran Macedonia to Greece, and he had Seleucus, which ran from Syria to Babylon, and Lysimachus, which ran Thrace to Asia Minor. You see what I'm saying? So these were the guys that Alexander the Great appointed to rule over those territories. So let's jump down to verse 6. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome, and he reigned in 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. You see, now Antiochus, a wicked king, which took over the rulership of the Greeks from Alexander the Great. You see what I'm saying? So, and he commanded all of Israel to bow down and to worship him and to follow his customs and his laws and his traditions. You see what I'm saying? So he also wanted to push the doctrine to the Israelites to stop celebrating the laws and the feast days of the Most High. So let's jump down and read verse 11. Verse 11, in those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen, that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So we look at this instance here where it says, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen. These are Israelites right here. A lot of our people were sellouts. You see what I'm saying? They sold out against their own people. They joined themselves with the heathen, and they wanted to follow the practice and the customs of the heathens. You see what I'm saying? So they wanted to join themselves to Antiochus and to fulfill his mission. His mission was to, pollute Israel and to destroy the temple and to do all of that. You see what I'm saying? He also wanted to vandalize the assets that was inside the temple, which we're going to find out later on. Let's jump down to verse 20 through 27. Verse 20, and after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude, and entered proudly into the sanctuary, and took away the golden altar and the candlestick of light, and all the vessels thereof, and the table of the showbread, and the pouring vessels, and the vials, and the censers of gold, and the veil, and the crowns, and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he pulled off. Verse 23, he took also the silver and the gold and the precious vessels. Also he took the hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre and spoken very proudly. Verse 25, therefore there was great mourning in Israel in every place where they were. So it was a lot of mourning in Israel. What this person had done, what Antiochus had done to the temple and to the Israelites, it was a lot of mourning. It was a lot of crying, a lot of sorrow that was passed, right? Verse 26, so the princes and elders mourned, the virgins and young men were made feeble, and the beauty of women was changed. Verse 27, every bridegroom took up lamentation, and she that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness. You see that? So Antiochus, he wanted to be made known to the public. You see what I'm saying? He knew that if he was to do this, if he was to go up in there, destroy this, the temple, pollute the sanctuary, he will cause fear amongst the people. You see what I'm saying? He will get the mindset of the people to where, you know what, this man, he is no joke. He is not the one to play with. You see what I'm saying? So he had to let it be known that he was the man in charge, and that if the Israelites don't follow him, they'll be put to death. You see what I'm saying? So let's jump down to let's read verse 41 through verse 50. Right, so verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. You see that? This is New World Order right here in the scriptures. You see what I'm saying? This is New World Order. This is where it originated from. Verse 42. And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. You see what I'm saying? Going back to verse 41, you see, this is where one nation under God comes from. You see that? So when they do the Pledge of Allegiance, right? They have that statement, one nation under God. This is where it comes from, right here. You see what I'm saying? So verse 40, let's do verse 42. And everyone shall leave his laws, so all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Verse 43. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. You see that? Many of our people joined into this person right here. You see what I'm saying? They consented to his religion. Religion meaning practices. You see what I'm saying? It also says sacrificing to idols, so they went into idolatry and they profaned the Sabbath. They were breaking the Sabbath. You see what I'm saying? So let's jump down to verse 44. For the king has sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah that they should follow the strange laws of the land. You see what I'm saying? And our people was doing it. You see what I'm saying? Common sense should tell you, if you're in the spirit of the Most High God, you got to keep his laws, statutes, and commandments. You can't leave the laws and go and, partake in the heathens' laws. You see what I'm saying? Verse 45. And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbath and festival days. You see that? So they wanted us to profane our Sabbath and our festival days. You see what I'm saying? They want us to keep their festival days. You see what I'm saying? So now, verse 45, in regards to festival days, there is a similar tradition out there by the name of Hanukkah or Hanukkah. You see what I'm saying? Which is a Jewish festival, right? It's a Jewish festival of lights that take place during the wintertime. You see what I'm saying? So first and foremost, they not the real Jews that the Bible speaks of. You see what I'm saying? So that tradition, if a lot of you guys, if you guys are partaking in that festival throughout the winter every year, I extremely recommend you guys to get up out of that festival, the feast of Hanukkah. You see what I'm saying? Because first of all, they're not the real Jews that the Bible speaks of. You can get that in Revelations chapter 3 and verse 9. And on top of that, they keep majority of their ordinances wrong. And on top of that, they go off of the 9 candlestick when the scripture clearly says the 7 candlesticks. You see what I'm saying? So we can get a precept with that. Let's get Revelations chapter 1 verse 13. Revelations chapter 1 verse 13. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. You see what I'm saying? It says, and in the midst of the 7 candlesticks. Now, going into Revelations chapter 1, this is giving a description of what Christ looks like. John the Revelator, he had a vision of what Christ looks like. You see what I'm saying? And it says, in the midst of the 7 candlesticks. You see what I'm saying? It says 7, not 9. You see what I'm saying? So all of that stuff, all those Jewish, all of their traditions and customs that they have is all false, man. It's all satanic and it's wicked. And I recommend you guys to get up out of there immediately. You see what I'm saying? So let's go back up to First Maccabees chapter 1, and let's pick back up verse 45. And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and they that should profane the Sabbath and festival days. You see what I'm saying? So they want us to profane our Sabbath and our festival days and keep their wicked festival days. You see what I'm saying? Let's finish reading. Oh shoot, I guess that was it. Oh no. We're gonna read down to verse 50. And pollute the sanctuary and holy people. Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts. See, this is what they want us to do. They want us to go into idolatry, and on top of that, they want us to eat swine's flesh. Y'all know what swine flesh is? It's pork. You see what I'm saying? We're not supposed to be eating pork. Pork is an abomination in the eyes of the Most High. You guys can read that in the book of Leviticus chapter 11. You see what I'm saying? Pork is an unclean animal. And the Most High will hate you if you eat pork. Anything that consists of pork, when it comes down to candy, bacon, pastor, carnitas, any of that, the Most High, He will hate you for that. He'll literally put you to death if you continue to break His commandments and to keep eating swine's flesh. So if you guys are eating pork, I recommend you guys to not eat pork anymore. All right. So it says, verse 48, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation. You see what I'm saying? They want our children to be uncircumcised. You see what I'm saying? That's according to Scripture. That was a covenant that was made to us. I believe if you read Genesis chapter 17, you see what I'm saying? The Most High, He required all men to get circumcised. You see what I'm saying? So all you men out there, if you are not circumcised, you are considered unclean. You see what I'm saying? So I recommend you guys to get circumcised, because you can't even celebrate Passover. You see what I'm saying? If you are uncircumcised, you can't celebrate the high holy day, which is the Lord's Passover. You see what I'm saying? And to all women out there that are pregnant and looking to have and are expected a date to bring forth birth to their son, to their man child, I recommend you guys circumcise your newborn 8 days. You see what I'm saying? 8 days. We are to circumcise our newborns. You see what I'm saying? So that is a requirement right there. You see what I'm saying? This is why they want us to get uncircumcised. You see what I'm saying? So let's jump down to verse 49. To the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. You see what I'm saying? This is what they want us to do. They want us to forget the laws of the Most High and to change all of our ordinances. And remember, we are reading this in the Apocrypha. You see what I'm saying? The Apocrypha, in these new Bibles, they don't have the Apocrypha. It's just the Old Testament and the New Testament. You see what I'm saying? This is why they want this. They want to remove the Apocrypha out of the Bible. You see what I'm saying? They said it's how do you pronounce that? Cognitical or something like that. It's cognitical, meaning it's not relative. It's not related to the Bible. So this is why they figured they want to take it out. You see what I'm saying? The Apocrypha has a lot to do, and it relates to the Scriptures. You see what I'm saying? Let's jump down to verse 50. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. You see what I'm saying? So if we don't follow the king's commandment, King Antiochus, you see what I'm saying? He gonna put us to death on the spot. And it's gonna happen to us in this modern age today. It's gonna come to a point in time to where they gonna want us to break our laws and commandments. And if we refuse to do so, we gonna get put to death. You see what I'm saying? This is why we gotta remain, we gotta strengthen up our faith and solidify our relationship with the Father. You see what I'm saying? That way He could deliver us in these times that's to come. You see what I'm saying? And the Scriptures say, he that endured to the end, the same shall be saved. You see what I'm saying? So let's jump down to that was all of that. Let's get the book of let's go into chapter 2. So we're gonna go to chapter 2, and we're gonna read verse 19 through 23. Yeah. So chapter 2, verse 19 through 23. Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice, though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him and fall away every one from his religion of their fathers and give consent to his commandments. You see what I'm saying? So this is Mattathias. You see what I'm saying? He was stating that all of the other nations, You see what I'm saying? They left their laws and their practices, and they joined on to, you know, King Antiochus. You see what I'm saying? And started to follow their religions and all of that. Verse 20. Yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers. You see what I'm saying? This brother Mattathias, he had a righteous spirit within him. You see what I'm saying? He had a manly, a mighty, diligent spirit behind him. Because he was like, hey, look, while all the nations out there is following after this king and all that, me and my 5 sons, we're going to remain faithful to the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God, right? Let's get verse 21. God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. You see what I'm saying? This is what Mattathias is saying. He's saying, God forbid that we should forsake the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments, and his ordinances. You see what I'm saying? So, what do our people celebrate during this winter time? You see what I'm saying? Because we got a lot of our people, they celebrate Hanukkah. You see what I'm saying? But also a big holiday that a lot of our people celebrate, and that is Christmas. You see what I'm saying? Christmas, which is in fact is called Saturnalia, which is a Roman a festival, a Roman paganistic holiday. You see what I'm saying? Which is completely wicked, because in this holiday that they celebrate, it's pretty much you got these heathens that will get drunk and have sex with each other, and give gifts to each other and do all sorts of wickedness. You see what I'm saying? So this is why we recommend you guys to come up out of that. You see what I'm saying? All of that holiday, that Christmas is just straight wickedness. You see what I'm saying? First of all, Santa Claus, he is nowhere in the Bible. You see what I'm saying? Santa Claus is nowhere in the Bible. And you see what I'm saying? If you look at the word Santa, right? Santa Claus, Santa, if you rearrange the words, that's Satan right there. You see what I'm saying? So, and he's dressed in all red. You see what I'm saying? That's Esau, the red man, identifying himself. That's Satan in the flesh. You see what I'm saying? So this is why we gotta come up out of that, man, because it's all wicked, man. A lot of our people celebrate Christmas. You see what I'm saying? Y'all would, Christmas, that's only like a 1-day celebration, 2 days, Christmas Eve and then Christmas. Y'all would prefer to celebrate Christmas, a 2-day holiday, than Feast of Dedication, which is an 8-day feast. Come on, 8-day feast of us partying, drinking, having fun, in righteousness, turning up, going above and beyond for the Most High, singing and dedicating and all of that. Y'all would choose Christmas than a Feast of Dedication? Come on, man. We got to come up out of that. We got to come back to the Most High's laws and his heritage. You see what I'm saying? So another thing about Christmas, man, they say that Jesus was born on December 25th. You see what I'm saying? Jesus Christ, he was not born on December 25th in a barn. You see what I'm saying? Y'all know what a barn is? It's a place where all the farm animals be at. You see what I'm saying? That's a lie right there. You see what I'm saying? Nimrod, he was born on the 25th. You see what I'm saying? So when you go into the history of Christmas, that's Nimrod right there. You see what I'm saying? So Jesus Christ, he was born in the spring. You see what I'm saying? He couldn't be born in the winter because it's too cold. The weather is too cold right there. You see what I'm saying? And springtime takes place in, March to April. You see what I'm saying? That's where Christ was born in. You see what I'm saying? During Passover. You see what I'm saying? So on top of that, I got something I want to show y'all. Christmas was forbidden at one point in time. You see what I'm saying? So I have this printout. Check this out. This was a public notice. You see what I'm saying? This was a public notice that was sent out in 1659 of the ban on celebrating Christmas in Massachusetts Bay Colony. You see what I'm saying? This is the source right here in the article if you guys want to look that up. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, this is the public notice. Check this out. The observation of Christmas having been deemed a sacrilege, the exchanging of gifts, which what our people do, and greetings, dressing in fine clothing, feasting, and similar satanical practices are hereby forbidden. Look at the key word, satanical. So if you're celebrating Christmas, that is a satanical tradition. You see what I'm saying? Are hereby forbidden, and the offender liable to a fine of 5 shillings. So if you were caught celebrating Christmas in this point in time, you will be subject to a fine. You see what I'm saying? But they've done away with this laws. They letting everybody celebrate Christmas. You see what I'm saying? So it's all wickedness, man. We got to come up out of that. Come up out of that Feast of Hanukkah. And come up out of that Christmas and celebrate Feast of Dedication. You see what I'm saying? So let's go back to real quick, another thing about Christmas. You know, Christmas, for those who celebrate Christmas, that's considered idolatry. You know, tree worship, because if you really look at it, what takes place, you know, when you guys set up y'all Christmas tree and everything, y'all decorate that Christmas tree, and then y'all wrap up, y'all gift wrap y'all presents, and y'all go down and y'all put it under the tree. And y'all not even realizing when y'all putting presents under the tree, you guys are bowing down. You see what I'm saying? When you guys put presents under the tree, and when y'all get the kids to collect presents under the tree, you guys are bowing down and grabbing presents underneath the tree. That's y'all that's idolatry right here. That's idol worship, tree worship. Y'all worshiping the tree. You see what I'm saying? When the scriptures say we should not bow down to no gods. You see what I'm saying? So it's all wicked. We got to come up out of that. You see what I'm saying? So let's go back to verse 21 through 23 in the book of 2 Maccabees. Verse 21, God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. Verse 22, we will not hearken to the king's word to go from our religion either on the right hand or the left. Now, when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar, which was at Modin, according to the king's commandment. We always gonna have that one sellout person, man. This brother right here just said, look, we're gonna choose to stick to our law, statutes, and commandments. And while he said that, you have this one wicked Israelite is just gonna leave and go sacrifice it to the altars that was built by King Antiochus. It's always gonna be that one sellout. You see what I'm saying? We can't get rid of them, man. It's always gonna be that one sellout. This is why the Most High say, it shall come to pass that 2/3 of my people shall be cut off and die. He already know this stuff is gonna happen. You see what I'm saying? So yep. So as we continue reading the scriptures, as time went by, there was a special brother by the name of Judas Maccabeus, right? How he started an army, a righteous army filled with strong men to fight against the Greeks. You see what I'm saying? And you guys can read that in First Maccabees chapter 3, all of chapter 3. You guys read that full chapter, y'all get full understanding in regards to that. You see that? So Judas Maccabeus and the army of Israel, right? They fought against the Greeks and they defeated the Greeks, and they rededicated the temple back to the Most High. You see what I'm saying? And they put it back into its righteous order. You see what I'm saying? So as the temple was completed, Judas and his brethren, right, they proclaimed the 25th day of the 9th month to be an 8-day feast of mirth and gladness. You see what I'm saying? So let's read the book of First Maccabees chapter 4, verse 36 through 61. So First Maccabees chapter 4, verse 36 through 61 to get more understanding. First Maccabees chapter 4, verse 36. Then said Judas and his brethren, behold, our enemies are discomfited. let us go up to cleanse and dedicate the sanctuary. So after Judas and his brothers went to battle against the King Antiochus and his whole army, right? They went back to the temple to fix it up, to build it back up, and to rededicate it, right? Verse 37, upon this, all the host assembled themselves together and went up until Mount Sion. Verse 38, and when they saw the sanctuary desolate and the altar profane and the gates burned up and shrubs growing in the courts as in a forest or in one of the mountains, yea, and the priest's chambers pulled down, they rent their clothes and made great lamentations and cast ashes upon their heads and fell down flat to the ground upon their faces and blew an alarm with the trumpet and cried towards heaven. Then Judas appointed certain men to fight against those that were in the fortress until he had cleansed the sanctuary. Verse 42, so he chose priests of blameless conversation, such as had pleasure in the law. You see what I'm saying? So he chose Judas. He chose priests that knew the law and that had pleasure in the law and feared the Most High to take part of the priesthood. You see what I'm saying? And it's the same thing. Just like how the Most High chose, just like how he selected the priest, right, to do the duties of the priest. The Most High, he chose us as soldiers. You see what I'm saying? To prophesy these scriptures and give forth proper edification. You see what I'm saying? Verse 43, who cleansed the sanctuary and bare out the defiled stones into an unclean place. And when as they consulted what to do with the altar of burnt offerings, which was profane, they thought it best to pull it down, lest it should be a reproach to them, because the heathen had defiled it. Wherefore they pulled it down, and laid up the stones in the mountain of the temple in a convenient place, until there should come a prophet to show what should be done with them. Then they took the whole stones according to the law and built a new altar according to the former, and made up the sanctuary and the things that were within the temple, and hollowed the courts. They made also new holy vessels, and into the temple they brought the candlestick of the altar of burnt offerings and of incense, and the table, and upon the altar they burnt incense, and the lamps that were upon the candlesticks they lighted, that they might give light in the temple. You see what I'm saying? So this is where Hanukkah, this is where they get the customs from this scripture right here. You see what I'm saying? A Jewish a light festival. You see what I'm saying? So right here it says that we had lit up the candles. So that's what they do throughout their whole 8-day feast. You see what I'm saying? They just light up the candles and all of that. Verse 51, furthermore, they set the loaves upon the table and spread out the veils, and finished all the works which they had begun to make. You see that? So verse 52. Now on the 25th day of the 9th month, that's the exact day when we're supposed to celebrate Feast of Dedication, on the 9th month on the 25th day, which is called the month Caslu, in 148 year they rose up betimes in the morning, and offered sacrifice according to the law upon the new altar of burnt offerings which they had made. Verse 54, look at what time and what day the heathen had profaned it. Even in that was it dedicated with songs and cithers and harps and cymbals. So this is how they dedicated the temple to the Most High. You see what I'm saying? So they were celebrating with songs, with all different types of musical instruments. We're supposed to be doing the same thing too in this feast of dedication. Verse 55, then all the people fell down upon their faces, worshiping and praising the God of heaven, who had given them good success. So the Most High, he gave the Israelites, excuse me, good success after the temple was being defiled. He allowed the Israelites to defeat the Greeks and to regain the temple back and to dedicate it to the Most High. And so they kept the dedication, verse 56, and so they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days and offered burnt offerings with gladness and sacrifice of deliverance and praise. You see that? So verse 52 through 56, right? We are to keep it like tabernacles. It's very similar to Feast of Tabernacles, right? So the Feast of Dedication is an 8-day feast, just like Feast of Tabernacles. It's an 8-day feast, right? Tabernacles, we are to dwell in the booth 7 days. And on that extra day, additional day, the 8th day, is a Sabbath. The first day is a Sabbath. The 8th day is a Sabbath. Same thing with Feast of Dedication. The first day is a Sabbath. The 8th day is a Sabbath. So we can get a precept. Let's get 2 Maccabees chapter 1 verse 18 to prove that Feast of Dedications is very similar to Feast of Tabernacles. 2 Maccabees chapter 1 verse 18. Therefore, whereas we are now proposed to keep the purification of the temple upon the 25th day of the month Caslu, we thought it necessary to certify you thereof, that ye also might keep it as the Feast of Tabernacles, and of the fire which was given us when Nehemiah offered sacrifice after that he had builded the temple and the altar. Now, you can get more understanding in regards to Feast of Tabernacles if you read the book of Leviticus chapter 23, verse 34 through 44. You get more understanding with that. So let's go back into 1 Maccabees chapter 4. Right? And we're going to read from verse 57 through 61. Verse 57, they decked also of the forefront of the temple with crowns of gold, and with shields, and the gates, and the chambers they renewed, and hanged doors upon them. Thus was there very great gladness among the people, for that the reproach of the heathen was put away. Moreover, Judas and his brethren, with the whole congregation of Israel, ordained that the days of the dedication of the altar should be kept in their seasons from year to year. You see what I'm saying? So this is a everlasting thing. You see what I'm saying? In this time and age today, we are to keep the Feast of Dedication. By the space of 8 days from the 25th day of the month Caslu, with mirth and gladness. At the time also they builded up the Mount Zion with high walls and strong towers round about, lest the Gentiles should come and tread it down, as they had done before. So they wanted to make this. When they built the temple, they wanted to build it even stronger, to put more of a power to it, so that way it won't get taken down like how it happened before. Verse 61, and they set there a garrison to keep it, and fortified Bethsur to preserve it, that the people might have a defense against Idumea. You see what I'm saying? Idumea is the Greek translation of Edom or Esau. You see what I'm saying? So you guys can also read 1 Maccabees chapter 2 If you want to find out Mattathias, his 5 sons. Mattathias, he had 5 sons, which was Jonathan, Joannan, Eleazar, Judas, and Simon. You see what I'm saying? So those were the 5 special brothers right there. So other than that, let's get the last scripture. We're going to get John chapter 10, verse 40. John chapter 10, verse 22. So, hold on, let's see. John chapter 10, verse 22. And it was at Jerusalem, the feast of dedication, and it was winter. You see, so this scripture proves that Christ, not only Christ, but Christ and his disciples, they kept the feast of dedication too. You see what I'm saying? So they kept it in the New Testament. And the interesting thing is that a lot of people out there, they have just a Bible, Old Testament, New Testament, right? And they read this scripture right here, John 10 and 22. And it was at Jerusalem, the Feast of Dedication, and it was winter. They have no understanding, because where can you find the history of Feast of Dedication? You see what I'm saying? You will have to have the Apocrypha. You see what I'm saying? Or they actually got Bibles out there that have the Apocrypha included. You see what I'm saying? Just like this Bible that I'm reading right here. This is the 1611 King James Version. And it has the Apocrypha inside of it. You see what I'm saying? So your Bible is incomplete if it don't have the Apocrypha in it. You see what I'm saying? So Christ kept the Feast of Dedications. Our forefathers kept the Feast of Dedications. And we should too. So with all that being said, I hope you guys got edified. Please like, share, comment your thoughts down below. Subscribe to this video for more content. And I hope you guys got edified. And I look forward to seeing you guys soon. With all that being said, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Kwam Yasharallah.